Well, we're joined now from Seattle by Nick Hanauer. Nick Hanauer, that voice that you will have heard just now, other than mine, was the voice of an economist from a right-wing think tank here. And of course, Forbes magazine has added to the grief by saying that your plan is near insane.
Yes. You know, the orthodox economic view is that if wages go up, employment will go down, which is you know, to any sort of reasonably common sense observer, obviously wrong. The fundamental law of capitalism is if workers have more money, businesses have more customers. And when you basically structure an economy, as we have in the United States, where an increasingly smaller and smaller group of people get essentially more and more money, you end up in a death spiral of falling demand. The principal problem with our recovery here and in many other places around the world is rising inequality. The fact that ordinary workers don't earn enough money to sustain the business cycle.
Well, now take me to, I thought, the very interesting piece in your article in Politico magazine, which is where Henry Ford comes in. Tell me about Henry Ford and why he adds to this argument.
I mean, this is a wonderful old American story, which is that Henry Ford realized that if he didn't pay his workers enough to buy his cars, no one in the country would ever be able to afford to buy them, and he would have a smaller business. And this basic common sense idea should inform a lot of our policy. It's quite a simple prospect, but it runs counter to the orthodox economic trickle-down view that the way to create prosperity is to make rich people richer. It just doesn't work.
Well, I mean, you're a plutocrat, and I've never been able to say that to anybody on this program before, but you're a plutocrat, and you're in a marvelously privileged position, and in a sense you're having it both ways, because you're also being very loving and caring towards those people that have missed out on the plutocracy. But at the same time, who in the mainstream is ever going to rally to your flag?
Look, there's an old saying from the investment business, which is that pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. I am an avowed capitalist. I've helped started 35 companies across a range of industries, and economic inequality is an essential part of capitalism. The problem is runaway economic inequality eventually won't work out for anyone. And my message simply to my fellow plutocrats is, let's not kill the goose that laid the golden egg, and that is a middle class, because without a middle class, as I've argued before, the best entrepreneurs in a place like Congo are simply standing barefoot by the side of a dirt road selling fruit.
But can I just stop you there? Because one of the fascinating things is that you're driven in part because you fear the pitchforks. You are saying that any minute now there's going to be a revolution, and you'll have these guys who have not joined any sort of the profit that the plutocracy has managed to enjoy, that these people are going to be at the gates with their pitchforks. Surely the guys that would have been at the gates are down the back of the sofa. They're watching telly, they're absorbing the internet, and they're out there doing nothing but, on the other hand, placated.
Yeah, so look, I wrote this piece for Politico that went sort of globally viral, and it was somewhat tongue-in-cheek. I actually do not keep my jet fueled at all times, ready to flee the country because the revolution is coming. But make no mistake, if economic inequality continues to rise, there can be no result other than catastrophe. History shows that when economic inequality gets to a sufficient level, terrible things happen. In particular, terrible things happen to people like me. So I am being sensible.
Well, let me ask you about you. Let me ask you about you. I imagine you have a cleaner. How much do you pay him or her an hour?
$25 an hour, 30, maybe more.
So well above your living wage, as you describe it.
Yeah. I mean, it's good living working. It's good living working for the Hanauers.
But to some extent, you see,
to be clear,
the kind of biblical world in which people once used to grow up really wanted you reduced to sackcloth before they'd listen to you. Are you stripping away your own plutocratic assets?
Yeah. No. Look, I'm just saying that it's just common sense. for people who have benefited in the way that I have and others have from being able to create enterprises that sell to the middle class, that we should do everything in our power to sustain it. It is a small price to pay a little bit more in taxes or to raise wages across industries a little bit to continue to build the middle class, which creates a better life for everybody and more opportunity for everybody at the same time.
Nick
This
Hanauer,
is just common sense.
In Seattle. Thank you very, very much for joining us. And we're going to get that article out on Twitter tonight. I'll get our people on the channel4.com to do that. The pitchforks are coming. Have a look at it. It's a very, very good and interesting article, Kathy.